I just don't understand. You know I'm too good to you. I'm way too good to you. You take my life. I just don't understand.
Welcome to today's video, guys. This is my Q&A with Stacey. I don't know why I just introduced it that way, but I don't really care. So, her and I both on our Instagram stories, we used that little question box to put out we said like, holding a YouTube Q&A, go ahead and submit your questions. Got the questions. Some were related to both of us as a couple. So what we did is we just finished filming the Q&A portion for her channel, which was a lot more questions directed at her or us as a couple. And then this video is going to be more questions directed at me and then us as a couple. So yeah, we just figured this is a fun way to do it. And this way, if you guys want to watch the other half of the questions, you have to go over to her channel, which I will link in my description, or if you go to my channel, she's on the featured channels on the side.
What we did on my channel, he asked me the questions that I got. So now I'm gonna ask him the questions that he got.
Before we go into it, I just want to ask you guys if you wouldn't mind doing me a favor, if you would go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, because it really helps the channel grow and it really helps the video spread. If you genuinely don't like the video after watching it, you can go ahead and just take that thumbs up right back. Like, just no hard feelings, do what you gotta do.
Question number 1. Do fat burners work?
Okay, so what a fat burner is, when you break down the compounds inside, caffeine is the #1 most used ingredient in a fat burner. The reason is because caffeine is going to increase your heart rate throughout the day, and it's going to in turn burn more calories. They use a lot of different types of stimulants. They've had issues with finding amphetamines in fat burners and stuff before, which are increasing your heart rate and metabolism and all that stuff. They will also include ingredients that are like recently discovered or like trendy fat burning compounds. So like if you were to go watch Dr. Oz or something, they would have just featured that as like a big up and coming fat burning ingredient or something like that. L-carnitine, which is actually an extremely effective fat burner. In my opinion, that's actually like the most effective fat burning ingredient because it actually takes your adipose fat tissue and transports it to be burned as fuel, which is really cool. So L-carnitine, I give it a thumbs up. Fat burners are just a bunch of different ingredients thrown together, and the purpose is really just to hike up your heart rate to get you burning more calories throughout the day. More energy, more stimulation. You're probably gonna go work out more or go run or exercise or move more, or you're gonna be so hopped up that you're like running around the house doing chores more rapidly, things like that. So are they effective at actually helping you lose weight? Yeah, if you're doing the right things alongside it. So your training and nutrition are absolutely crucial before a fat burner ever does anything. So make sure those two things are on point. Learn how to track your macros and manipulate your macros, or learn how to portion properly. Just, you need your training and diet on point before a fat burner can do anything for you. But I've used them as useful tools plenty of times in the past. Just be really careful, because if you are sensitive to caffeine or coffee or tea, it's gonna be unpleasant. Okay, next question.
What is your weekly lift to rest day ratio?
Right now, it's a 5-day lift, 2-day rest ratio. I generally try to keep it at a 5 or 6 day split, just because that's what I personally enjoy most. And to be honest, I can't stay away from the gym very long. I think in 10 years, I've taken a maximum of 3 days off from the gym, and she can confirm that.
Yep.
If I don't work out, I feel sluggish and slow and gross and blah. So, there you go.
Next question. How do you find your music for your videos?
So for my swipe videos, I literally just listen to Spotify, and I am kind of obsessed with music. It kind of drives the passion behind like everything else I do in my life. So when I go into the gym, not having headphones is basically the end of the world for me, because the way I get my workout started, the way I get in the mood for anything is driven by music. You can look at my eyes and I probably won't even pay any attention to anything going on, because I'm really just in my own world, lifting and listening to music. How I find it is either with YouTube or Spotify. And on YouTube, I use promoting sounds, and then all the ones that you use for your YouTube videos.
Suicide Sheep, Cloud Kid, Trap Flow.
But I think that's pretty much, that's pretty much it. So yeah, that's how we find the music for our videos. All my swipe videos are normally like mainstream songs.
Next question. What is better? Push-pull legs or one group of muscles every day? So I work with a coach.
Mr. Nick Comedina.
Yes, shout out to you, Nick. Sorry, I'm not drinking my water at this second. I work with a coach, therefore my split, just with how he does things, it changes every 6 weeks. So this last split that I was on was actually push-pull legs, and I hadn't done a push-pull leg split in probably a year, so it was really nice to kind of switch it up. If I had to choose, I would say I personally prefer single muscle groups on different days. I think it just really allows me to like hone in on that muscle group and make sure that I'm like contracting that muscle really well, like each rep, whereas sometimes when I have to do multiple muscle groups in a day, it's kind of like maybe I go a little more half-ass on my back because I'm also doing buys, and my buys are really working but my back's kind of not, like, and that's just me personally. So if I had to choose, I would prefer one muscle group a day. I don't know if there's any science behind that, that's just my personal opinion. What's your opinion?
So, I personally, I like both.
I know, I like
I've done
both too. I like both too.
I like to change it up. I like to throw push-pull legs in. I like to do the individual muscle groups. Scientifically, recent studies have shown that push-pull legs may be the most effective form. And the reason is because you are hitting every muscle twice a week.
Yeah,
and
that makes sense.
it gives you enough time to recover without continually beating yourself up and breaking yourself down. I personally feel though that on a push-pull legs split that sometimes you're not hitting every muscle efficiently, but you're hitting the main muscles efficiently. So like your chest is getting worked, your back is getting worked, your shoulders are getting worked, but maybe your calves are not being hit properly, your forearms aren't being targeted properly, your abs aren't really getting work, your traps, like a lot more of the accessory things. Or sometimes it feels like the individual muscles just aren't getting enough attention overall, and so that's where I really like to like switch back to the individual muscle groups to make sure I hit those efficiently individually, and then I can switch back to the push-pull legs like 6 weeks later or 12 weeks later, whatever I feel like doing at the time. So it's more of just how I feel, but again, the recent studies have shown that push-pull legs is extremely effective. What's next?
Next we have, this is one for us.
Ooh, couple questions.
How did you and Stacey learn how to fight? This is a phenomenal question. Just like the other one that I got, one thing you would change about each other, like those make you think. I feel like we're always learning.
We learned how to fight through experience.
And the thing is, over the years, what's been so important is communicating to each other what is making us upset in the moment. What is it that you're doing that's causing me to feel this way? And like I mentioned also in my video, going about it in a calm way, approaching each other in a calm, gentle way.
I think a really, really important thing to always remember when it comes to any relationship, everyone's raised differently, and so our brains are all completely programmed differently. The things that we value, the things that piss us off, everything is different for every individual person. So you have to communicate to understand, oh, you were raised where that was wrong and this was right. I was raised where this is right and that's wrong. It comes with understanding the other person well and understanding what sets them off, but also understanding what calms them down. We used to fight for ourselves, and now I think we fight for our relationship and we fight for each other.
Another thing that I have personally noticed in myself whenever we do argue, I find that I need to kind of like take a step out of the situation, cool down, and remember who I'm fighting with, and then all of a sudden it clicks. I don't want to be fighting with my best friend. I don't want to be fighting with my fiance, my future husband. Like, I'm wasting time right now fighting with someone I do not want to be fighting with. So gather yourself, apologize if it means apologize, or share your heart if it means share your heart.
I think it's really important to understand where the other person's coming from, because sometimes you'll have somebody, like the other person will purely be looking out for your best interest, and that's really important to identify, because for them to be really caring about you and looking out for your best interest, and for you to be fighting them on that, it's not practical.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily mean that they're right, but like they just care about you and want the best for you.
So that was a long-winded answer to the question, but hopefully
I hope we
it was-
actually answered your question.
Yeah.
It really comes down to whether you guys are actually looking out for each other's best interest or not. If you're not, it's not going to work. If one person refuses to, I guess, play the game, if they refuse to be a part of this partnership that is your relationship and marriage, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
And those things can shift and change too. They can suddenly decide that they're going to be on board for working everything out properly and being on your team, and then other times they can just shift and decide they're not going to. Like, just be aware of that.
Next question is, what are your present macros?
Oh gosh, let me see. I pretty much always carb cycle. Whether I'm in a surplus, at maintenance, or in a deficit, I always carb cycle. My body just responds better. On average, right now, I'm at 4,500 calories, 630 grams of carbs, 270 grams of protein, and 100 grams of fat. Keep in mind, I'm 6 foot, 240 pounds right now. Don't base your macros on
Yes.
mine, because A, we're probably different height and weight. If we're the same, cool. B, I have manipulated my metabolism. A lot of you guys know I took my reverse diets extremely seriously and they were successful, so I was able to boost my metabolism to being able to eat a lot of food and not store fat. The last month or two, that has not been the case because my surplus is so intense that I'm actually starting to put on some fat. But it's just what happens. And
Part of the process.
I've been trying to grow for a year and a half now. Is it about a year and a half? Yeah. So I've been trying to grow since the bodybuilding.com spokesmodel search, pretty much. I took the reverse very, very seriously, then finally entered a surplus maybe 8 months ago or so. But yeah, my food is a lot, but it's probably not what you need.
Remember that. Okay, next question. Can I have a champion body without taking hormones or steroids? If yes, how many years?
You have to define champion. The reason is because there are different federations, there are different leagues, there are different levels of competition. If you're talking about the Mr. Olympia competition, if you want to be an open bodybuilder, not a chance in hell. You would have to take a whole lot of stuff, and it's a very, very long and intense and complicated process. You gotta put in decades of work to get there and decades of drug use. If you're talking about classic physique, I'd say still no. I don't necessarily think you can be world champion in classic in the IFBB. Physique, your chances are not great staying natural, but it's possible. I think it's possible. I'm not quite sure. But what I can tell you is that I have plenty of friends who are extraordinary natural athletes, like freaks of nature, never touched a drug in their life. They pride themselves on that. They won't even take aspirin. Like I know plenty of people who are like that, and they're extraordinarily talented athletes and bodybuilders. It is possible to be a champion natural bodybuilder. Some people will tell you otherwise. So with that said, understand that I can't necessarily give you a timeline because timelines are different for everybody. Dorian Yates was able to hop on the Olympia stage extremely quickly within a couple of years of serious training. Big Ramy stepped on the Olympia stage with only a few years of serious training under his belt. There's a lot of genetic factors that play a role here in all competitive physique sports. Just make sure you understand that. You just have to figure out what works best for you, what you're comfortable doing, what you enjoy your life with. That's all up to you. You have to learn what your body's growth potential is, how rapidly you can grow. I'd say definitely prioritize your training and nutrition before even supplements. Sorry, that was really long.
Then we have one more question. The last question is, when was your guys' first kiss? Who made the first move? All I know is it was definitely him that made the first move because I have been a chicken since day one.
I don't remember our
I
first
don't
kiss.
remember ours either, so
Is that bad?
I think that's a bad thing.
I remember a lot
So-
of very special and significant ones over the years.
Same. I really don't remember the very first one, and maybe
Well-
it'll come to us when we're like looking back at photos or something.
But we probably, So when you're 14 years old, when you're a 14-year-old boy, you just want to kiss the girl. You don't really put much thought into making it significant or special.
I'm bummed at myself that I didn't remember because I have a pretty good memory.
I'm pretty shocked you don't remember, to be honest. Me, that's not even surprising at all. Your memory is so phenomenal that does surprise me.
I don't remember, but I do know that he was the one to make the first move.
So there you have it.
There you have it. Dang.
Sorry.
If we remember, we'll let you know.
Yeah. All right, well, I think that's all we got for you guys today, so thank you guys so much for watching. If you happened to watch her video first, thank you for coming over here and watching the video on my channel. If you haven't watched her video yet, go ahead and head over to her channel. Again, the link is in the description. Thank you guys so much again, and yeah, we'll see you in the next video.
Bye.
Bye. All right, so we had a few more questions asked after we finished filming, and they were just like really good couple questions. So I just wanted to throw them in on the end of this video real quick, so I hope you don't mind.
The question is, the moment you guys knew he or she was the one.
There are two moments specifically. When you generally think of like a romantic comedy or some sort of a romantic movie, and they show like that moment of knowing that the other person is the one, I think it's a little unrealistic. It's like this extreme, overwhelming, like romantic love that they're referring to, but I think that in real life, in reality, it's the moment that you discover how much that person means to you as your best friend and how much you need that person in your life for your own sanity and for your own just enjoyment of life. You like yourself and your life better with them than without them. And so there were two main moments, and one of those I already referenced in her video that had to do with when we were broken up one time. My dog passed away very suddenly. It was just out of nowhere, and I had that dog for 14 or 15 years, something like that, and it really broke my heart. And the first person I had to call was her, because she was the only person I felt like I could be vulnerable with and actually talk openly with, and those were signs that at the time I was too immature to understand. I think I was 16 or 17, but that was like truly the moment where I realized she was my best friend and she's the person I was going to go to for everything. There was also another, there's three times actually. So the second time was I used to work on a ranch as a ranch hand, my family's ranch, and I would go out there completely by myself on weekends when my cousin wasn't able to make it out there to work. One of the times I was there staying in one of the camp houses. It's run as a Christian retreat camp out there, and I was in one of these big camp houses sleeping on like the bunks completely by myself. And this is like it's a very large property, and just to know that you're the only person there is pretty terrifying. Again, Stacey and I were not together at the time, and she was the person I called because she was the only person I felt comfortable being vulnerable and open with. I mean, she is the reason why I am who I am today, able to be open and vulnerable with everybody and just be me all the time. And then the third time, all three times were when we weren't together, because I was always drawn back to her no matter what. The third time was when we broke up for a very short period of time while I was in college. And just so you guys know, we weren't like breaking up all the time. We weren't that on and off couple, but we did break up I think 3 times, and only one of those was a substantial amount of time.
Yeah.
So the third time was when I was in college, and we broke up for I think like a week or something, and it was just a very weird transitional time in both of our lives, and so just somewhere there was some miscommunication that led to us breaking up for a short period of time, and that was the time where I couldn't be without her anymore, and it was so hard, her being back in Orange County and me being up there, and yeah, that's only an hour to 2 hour drive depending on traffic, but it still sucked so bad being away from her. And a lot of you guys don't know this, but I left college after my sophomore year to run DedFit. I ended up not even being able to stay up in LA very long because I literally just had to be with her. I couldn't be away from her anymore. I couldn't handle it. And you guys obviously know how that ended up. So it was a good decision in the long run. Those are the 3 defining moments that I knew that this girl was my best friend and the person I wanted to be my partner in everything in life. So.
You're so cute. That's so sweet.
All right, let me ask you.
No pressure.
No pressure.
How do I follow that? Like he said, I feel like sometimes people have these moments where they're like, I knew the moment I kissed him, and don't get me wrong, I totally believe that, and I think that for some people, that's totally possible. I don't think that was the case for us. Yes, I loved kissing him for the first time, even though I don't remember when that was. Like, yes, it feels right, and like I want to do it forever, but I feel like my feelings are similar to his in the sense that one of the main times I do remember, and this is sad, but like I look back and I'm grateful for it. The first time we broke up after already being together for a while, it was like probably the hardest thing I've ever gone through in my life. Now that I look back, I think I realize like the reason why it was so hard is because of how much he actually meant to me. And I didn't realize it in the moment. I think I was probably like 17 or 16, just this young love, like, okay, you're gonna have 5 more after this. Like you need to just get over it. But I think like looking back, there was a reason why it hurt so deeply and why I was so just left broken and like a part of me was missing for a while. And like we still maintained like friends until I had to cut it off with him and tell him like, you know, I can't be your friend anymore, because if I can't be with you, I don't even want to be associated with you because it's way too hard. And I think now looking back, it was like, wow, like that really showed me like how much this guy means to me. And then I think that's like my main, I mean, we've had so many like little things here and there that I'm just like, this is my person that I'm not thinking of off the top of my head. I feel like that's my main time where I'm just like, yes, this is my person. Even though I was young, I know I was young and it probably sounds crazy, but it was hard. And I'm sure there's girls and guys out there who have gone through this. Does that mean that that person is your person? I don't know, but for me it was. So that was really cool.
We also literally could not stay away from each other.
Even when I tried not to. Like even after that breakup, when he like slowly started coming back into my life and I was like, Stacey, have your guards up. This guy broke your heart. Have your guards up. Don't let him back in again. That lasted all 2 seconds. Until I was like, okay, let's see it again. It was that dramatic. It happened just like that.
We were so dramatic in high school.
We were.
It was crazy.
We were lame.
It was like the movies and TV shows and stuff that are just way overly dramatic. We lived our life like that, literally.
So unnecessary, but
so crazy.
It's our story.
It is.
And we're sticking to it. That's it. That's my moment.
Well, thanks for answering.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Was this for my channel?
Yeah.
So I need to close it out now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Fast forward. Yeah.
All right. So thank you guys again for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Oh, wait, did you just trip?
I just don't understand. No, I'm too good to you. I'm way too good to you.